Hey everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It is a fun, casual joint, and we are going to have a fun, casual chat about Ohio State, the Big Ten, some super fun schedules moving forward into the future. That's Justin Zwick,
hey.
Bobby Carpenter, Bill Landis, and I am Austin Ward. It is a Tuesday. It's not a Monday, so it is an Appetizer Tuesday in here. We've got some
Fried Pickles.
Fried Pickles on the way. They're
JZ
the best.
fired up.
Oh, buddy. I don't even like pickles.
I wanted to get his reaction when the pickles came out.
I don't even like pickles, but I love these things.
That's
and
a
I
big-
eat
they're-
them down.
Well, they're a big deal.
They are. Big deal.
Oh, no. That's what we're in. That's what we're in for?
Start fast.
Start
Keys to victory. Start
That's
fast.
right.
Buckle up, folks. Bob, did the Big Ten get it right or no?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I feel like I was almost trapped in the legends and leaders, like deja vu scheduling fiasco. It's like, hey, are we going to do the 3-6 model, which a lot of people, I think.
3-6 Mafia?
3-6 Mafia seems pretty good to a lot of folks. You know what? There may be some forced rivalries in there. There may be some asymmetry in the scheduling, but you're going to give the TV partners, the fans, players more big-time games, more of what people want. Mm-hmm. And with the pathway for a 12-team playoff, it's like, okay, I mean, you'll win your games, you're going to be, and you win your conference, you're getting a home game. And I know USC and UCLA are coming in, but I don't think that'll significantly disrupt the balance of power. I think UCLA will be good. UCLA should be really good, but, you know, I mean, the way it's set up now, you're not going to play them every year. So
yep.
The fact that Iowa has 3 protected, Penn State has none.
Yeah.
Illinois and Purdue was protected, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I'm looking through there. I'm like, all right.
Reading the list like,
You know, it's
what
like-
is this?
It's like old Oak and Bucket, Paul Bunyan Zags, Paul Bunyan Trophy, Heartland Trophy. They didn't protect the Land Grant Trophy, unfortunately.
Did not.
I mean, one of the great ones, Illibuck, also
the
not
Illibuck.
Yeah, Illibuck not protected.
Someone goes, if you would have just said Penn State, Michigan, and even the Illibuck, like that would have been better than just Michigan. And so Michigan has Michigan. They have, you know, their Ohio State and Michigan State rivalries. Like some schools, Ohio State is the only one that has one, and Penn State is the only place that has none.
0.
Iowa has 3. And I think UCLA and USC, they're the new ones. But Ohio State was the only current school, I believe, that only had one protected rivalry, if I'm not mistaken. But Iowa has 3 of them, and I'm like, look at those. Like, okay, I understand their trophy games and there's big stuff and all that. I just think the 3-6 model would have been much better. I was a fan of Ohio State having Penn State, Michigan, USC, but
You want the hardest schedule possible.
well, here's the thing.
I would have bet on that happening. If you would ask
You
me.
would-
I mean,
Yeah.
I would have rather had that than the alternative, which I'm trying to get some home games that are worth me going to see.
Mhm.
All right? I mean, I don't need to see, you know, Maryland. I don't need to see
It's like, well, last
Rutgers
year's
come in.
schedule, like every year.
Yes.
You have some big time games
Yes.
coming to the shoe, and people want to get up for them, and you want to throw them at night. Great, because they're huge games, and it'd be a fun time to go down
What's
and
wrong with that?
tailgate all day.
Make sure that you're never going to USC and UCLA in the same year. I mean, those are always flip-flopped when you have UCLA circle on.
Mhm.
And, you play the other teams because, let's be honest, I mean, Ohio State and Michigan, since Penn State came in, that has been the Ohio State's 2 locked-in games, even prior to the West and East and the Legends and Leaders and everything else. Those were the 2 protected teams that they always played. So Penn State, while it may not be a traditional rivalry, it's a game you've played for 30 years, and it's been, if you look over the last 30 years, probably the top 50 compelling games, Penn State's probably encapsulating at least 40%, if not half of those, because for a decade, Michigan wasn't giving you much.
Yep.
It was Michigan State, Wisconsin, and then Penn State, like there was, that kind of little grouping. And so, like, just for us playing in those games, it was such a big deal. And it's an adjacent state. They both recruit heavily, overlapping, some Youngstown, some Cleveland, some Pittsburgh. You look at the guys we have from Pennsylvania, look at some of the Pennsylvania, Ohio guys they have at Penn State. Like, that's what makes those things really entertaining. And just to see that won't happen consistently now, I think that's a fail.
Yeah, it used to be like the Big 33,
Yes.
Ohio State, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
You would have your guys going to Ohio State, Penn State, and then you would always kind of meet up those years while you were in college. So that one surprised me, just them not having anything. Because, I mean,
But they didn't get one.
their night games and their whiteouts are some of the best, best atmospheres in college football. I would think it's the loudest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They have wonderful speakers there.
You know, I mean, well, it is what it is, but they do a good job, and they pump that place up, and it's a cool place to watch a game when that whiteout's going at night. So that was kind of surprising that Penn State didn't have everything.
Here's the question then, because I had on our XM show, we had Tony Petiti on, who, by the way,
Tony P.
infinitely better than Kevin Warren at his job. He was like, we got this TV deal. He like made it
Did you
sound.
ask him why he scheduled his press conference for Friday night?
I
NFL
believe me,
draft?
because he came out of the MLB Network. He used to be the CEO, and it wasn't for very long. But he was in charge of Blizzard and Activision. I go, which was your favorite game? Are you like a Diablo guy, a WoW guy, a Candy Crush guy? I mean, what are we doing? He goes, well, I left that to the experts. I really wasn't good at the video games, but he he was at MLB Network. He used to produce the CBS 330 games. Like this, he's like a football dude. He gets it, and that's why I wanted to ask him the last question. It was either the Activision Blizzard question or you're a media guy. You're good at this. Why did they bury you on draft night? Yeah. By the way, did we not look at that and say, oh? Hey, there's overlapping sports. We can wait till next Wednesday.
One of the biggest conferences in
so that
in
coin
college
came
football.
Up came up tails.
I mean, unfortunately, I saw that. I wanted to see what his favorite, if he was a Warcraft guy. I mean, but he was really good. And like, he gets it. But the question is for me is, then Gene Smith had his comments on it and just afraid from the, I love Gene, but he's worried about the 70-year-old folks from Akron, up there, maybe Canton, maybe they live in Orville and they're driving down, eating
coming
some
down
Smuckers,
for a game,
and they want to be sure they can be at home the next
Bob
day.
Knight, just coming down for a game.
They want to wake up at home and not in a hotel and eat their Smuckers on their bagel.
That's right.
Like that's what they want to do. But I want to ask him, like, is it Ohio State that didn't push for Penn State? Was it Penn State that said, hey, you know what? If we don't play Ohio State or Michigan, that's cool. Don't give us anyone, because it's every team I've been a part of has some sort of rivalry. And it's predominantly stated around the facility. I don't care if it's high school, if it's middle school, college, NFL, I mean, whatever, professional sports, like you have something, whether it's long-standing or something that's kind of created over just tough games over the last and some nonsense off the field or whatever it is. And I want to know, like, did they just gentleman shake and say we're cool, or was there one side that didn't want it more than another? I mean,
it's like, we don't have to play Ohio State anymore. Sign me up. Yeah.
Bill was indoctrinated in the unrivaled.
I would guess that Penn State was perfectly fine with not having to play anyone on a.
Nobody complains
you
more
can't
or
say
louder
that.
than James Franklin.
I don't agree with it, but I would imagine that's the mindset.
You can't say that, like, because what are you putting up in your facility?
Unrivaled.
I understand that. You have the unrivaled
Today we're
countdown
getting ready
clause.
for nobody.
Nobody.
Our
What have you done to beat nobody?
Our producer is a Penn State guy, and so he goes, well, our motto is unrivaled. Like,
I mean, it wasn't prior to James Franklin's arrival. That's also a new thing.
They played Maryland like 56 times. Could you at least like throw a therapy? Give them that.
It used to be.
They had some
used
bad
to be
luck.
Pitt.
Yeah.
And like they played Pitt, I think it's like 80 sometimes. Then if you don't want to do that, then lock Pitt in as your non-conference. Like, and play that game like Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to have something on there that every year there's got to be a clock. Like, hey, we're doing this. Because if not, like, if you don't win your conference, then what else do you have? It's like Notre Dame. If you don't win the national championship, it's like, yeah, well, I mean, good job, guys. We won 10 games. I mean, seriously, like, there's nothing that you can say, hey, we were average, but we did this.
But we did this, yeah. We had a bad year, but at the end of the year, we had our rival game and we won.
I always look at 04 and it's like, hey, we started good, had some issues, and then ended up beating Michigan and won the bowl game. It's like, okay, everything kind of like, it was 8-4, but we beat a team that was 9-1.
It felt like you were going this way instead of what it felt like in the middle of the year.
We beat a team that, like, we ruined it for them. They were 9-1. They go there and we smoke them at home. Like, it's like, okay, and then we win our bowl game and like you have momentum. Like, it's just, if you're just rotating the game at the end of the season or whatever,
whoever you played Indiana at the end of the year, and it's definitely different.
It had felt like to some extent that Penn State had carved. Setting aside Penn State, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State had a lot of intrigue built into it, and it was mostly at the end of the season.
Yeah, they used to play at the end of the year all the time for that atrocious trophy. I mean, it doesn't.
The land grant rivalry.
The land grant. The trophy's as tall as I am.
Good, bigger is better.
I mean, it's felt, even that felt forced, but I guess like if you do it enough, like it becomes tradition. Like
30 years.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't wake up out of bed as a Penn State like, what are we doing to beat Michigan State today? You know what I mean?
How old are you, Bill?
I'm 34.
Okay, but guys that are like 20 years old, that rivalry's been going on for 10 years, 15 years prior to their existence.
That's a good point. But even that, like, Penn State, Ohio State just feels much more natural.
Yeah.
Like it should be. And honestly, like, I think if you were to ask people at Penn State, like, who do you consider your rival, and they had to pick one, they would pick Ohio State. And now
always like Halloween weekend. Like there's just a cool
big
feel.
game, yeah.
It's always the biggest day of the year on Penn State's football schedule. So I like the idea of. I mean, we've talked about it. Like the idea, if the driving point behind it was competitive balance and all that stuff, like I understand it. I don't think Penn State's going to push for it because why would they? It's better for them that they don't play it every year. But I think it is a loss for the Big Ten to not have that game on the calendar every year.
It's a loss for the TV partners.
Yeah.
If I'd be furious,
It's
one of the highest rated games this year.
A lot of the people are talking about, it's great the way we set this up. Like, all the players are going to get to play every Big Ten team over the course of 4 years. Like, do you care? Wouldn't you rather play USC 4 times than play
they could have
Iowa
done
once?
They could have done that anyway.
Yeah.
Like the 3 and 6 model gives you that flexibility to be able to do that. They could have added Penn State and probably still got that done with Ohio State and have that Penn State game. To me, that kind of it's almost like Texas OU where it's all right. Well, and that was obviously one of their big rivalries, but OU used to have Nebraska too, and they'd kind of finish the season with that. But you had Texas and Oklahoma. It's like right in the middle of the season, right with the state fair. Like that was Halloween weekend, man. We planned our Halloween party. If the game was at home, it was on Friday night. If the game's on the road, it's on Saturday night. And we set up the TVs like that was it, and have kids over and everything. But that was a tradition, I mean, I wasn't, like I said, it's not going back to Archie Griffin in those days, but since Luke Fickle and they wore the black socks over there and got 63 hung on them and never wore black socks again. I mean, I'll never forget, like that's the stuff. I mean, they had really good players when Penn State came in. I mean, those are some great battles in the mid-'90s. And then in the 2000s, after they kind of got it turned again.
Well, Bob, to your point, they keep hanging on the rotation and being able to go to every stadium over 4 years and play every.
They were even suspended together in 2011.
They did.
I mean, it was teamwork.
Teamwork makes
Here
the
you
dream
go,
work,
Wisconsin.
That's
You
good.
guys can take it.
that wonderful 2012. It was a great game too, by the way. Like Stoney will never forget it, and Braxton had himself a play to remember as well. But there were no actual stakes beyond staying undefeated, which was pretty wild. But to get Iowa got the 3-6 model that you're talking about. They've got a mafia going, and they still get to rotate through every state.
Yeah, somehow they get
that
to
works.
do it.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? So it does feel to me, though, like I expected something much worse. I think that they
something much.
My
how low?
expectations were so much lower than what
my expectations, and they did surpass them. Like I think that they did a pretty good job. We can sit here and say, man, it really does suck that Ohio State Penn State is not an annual thing, and that's true. I believe that. I'd love to see it, and bring on all the other games. I don't think you completely are on board with my belief that they've got to go to 10, but you get to preserve all that.
I'm not against going to 10. If you're going to tell me you can get USC and Penn State on there, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have your one big non-conference and one, play a MAC school or something. And I enjoy playing the Ohio school, like the Midwestern schools that are Group of 5 schools. I don't need to play Troy. I don't need to play UAB, but playing Miami, Ohio, because I know what it means for those guys. And it's a game that people can look at in the state of Ohio. It's like, all right, I'm going to this game. I'm an alumnus of here, but I've always been a fan of Ohio State. I've got a kid here or whatever. And those games have like additional juice to them because of the regionality of it. I mean, I don't need South Florida or Central Florida, just stuff like that. But give me ones, even a Ball State, you could throw in, some of the directional Michigan schools. Like there's just a lot of opportunities there to have it. And it helps those schools out with their financial budgets and everything else. So I think people always kind of looked at those as a win. And generally they're closer than probably what they should be a lot of times. Not always, but you feel like there's just a natural little bit of intensity there that doesn't exist otherwise.
Because all those guys wanted to go to Ohio
Yes,
State, right? I mean, we went through it. We played guys. We played Bowling Green. We were on the all-star teams with a couple of guys who went to those schools. Cincinnati, yeah. Well, I know, and it's extra motivation for them. It's fun to see those guys when come back and play against them after knowing them through high school and all that sort of thing. So I think that's a great idea. But yeah, the UABs of the world can go ahead and kick rocks.
I'm curious what you guys think of this because I've been thinking about this because Ohio State's playing Youngstown State in the non-conference this year. Like if they had a day every September Saturday every year, only Ohio teams play each other. Yeah. The MAC, Ohio State, Cincinnati, throw Youngstown State in there.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be really good stuff. I think people would like that. Like this is our Ohio weekend, and this is who you're playing, and Cincinnati plays. Like I think that there for a football state that's compelling, and there's a lot of opportunities here because there's a lot of Division I schools.
Right. I don't know if the math works out if there's an even.
It probably would. I mean, if you said you asked the NCAA or whoever else, the Big Ten, the MAC, the commissioners, let's say it's probably the best way to schedule that would be week 0. You all have the flexibility. Hey, give us a waiver so that we all get to play on week 0.
Yeah.
We're only going to play schools in state. Ohio State could essentially make that their non-conference tune-up because everybody else in the state would be that for them. You can have some intriguing matchups elsewhere. I don't even know. I mean, maybe the MAC would schedule something like, Ohio against Kent State. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of them would have to be conference games, I guess, for the MAC. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool because I think like Alabama makes a big deal out of like A-Day, right? When Auburn and Alabama play on the same day in the spring game, and like it's the spring game. Like, why can't you do that with real games in a state like Ohio that loves football just as much?
Make it happen, Bob.
Solutions for institutions.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Trying to solve problems here. I think 5 years ago we were trying to get cream cheese on a bagel.
Now they can eat whatever they want, and here we are.
They do. It seems like it's working for Jelani Thurman and Donovan Jackson based on what we've seen at those camps. Those guys are
Nice, a lot of beef there.
They are beefed up. Carb slaps of beef.
Donovan Jackson might have like 21-inch arms.
What happened?
He's like Hulk Hogan now.
Yeah.
He did not look like that, Bill. He didn't look like that at the end of spring. It's been 6 weeks, and he looks like a monster.
He's been eating his Wheaties, I think.
It's body by Marathi.
It's unbelievable.
What could he do for you?
I want it. I've always thought that.
You need the kitchen. You need the kitchen staff to go along with the body by Marathi.
I've always thought that would be like
Chicken and rice.
a fun story and content to do. Was like 6 weeks.
Oh God, have fun with that. Yeah, leave us out of that one.
If you did 1 week, 1 week would be a compelling story. 6 weeks would be torture.
A couple of days back to back might be a compelling story.
I mean, nobody wants to see the before photo, that's for sure. But I mean, why not? Let's do it.
That would be phenomenal.
He's probably not. I'm not. Give me the exact same workout.
Can we get some grilled chicken out here, please?
No, I'm just telling you, he would tailor it to your abilities.
Of course.
But it would be the same level of effort that Jelani has given versus you. And so like that, you would be working just as hard. And I don't know if you are gristled enough and toughened enough to be able to give that type of effort on a day in and day out basis.
Wow, questioning my work ethic.
Man, I tell you.
It's not a work ethic
guy
thing.
was a state champion golfer. Come on.
I
He's
know.
got it.
You'll be surprised to find out that we did not have a strength coach on the Kelly Walsh golf team. So I have never actually had that sort of training the way that you two have.
That makes sense then.
I mean, I watched Slikes train some people.
I guess I'm just going to eat some more mac and cheese bites. Jesus.
We did a deal for the Buckeye cruise one year, and Schleg's like trained people.
Oh,
He would do a training session as one of the auction items. And then one year he opened it up. He's like, you know what? We're just going to do a big fundraiser. You come in, pay $50, and all the money goes to the cruise. And we do like this. I mean, there was people throwing up, dude.
Yeah.
This was one day. It was like an hour.
I get it. I also played basketball before this body change. So, like, I have puked from workouts before.
I know, but it's been a long time since that probably happened. That's my point. You forget. I hadn't been in the cold tub in 2 years due to COVID. I got back in that thing, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Body softened up.
I hadn't been in it, too. My nerves had, like, refreshened. They were sharp again. They hadn't been dulled by just sitting in the Arctic plunge. If when you get out of that psychologically, it's hard to go back. It's just the ability to endure pain. That's all you simply are doing.
Yeah.
The ability to
I think
endure.
you got it. I think we should make this happen.
If you let me like put matches out on your hand for an hour every day, we could probably get you to that psychological place to where like, oh, that hurts. Oh, another one. And it just slowly
Don't
burns
even
it
feel it anymore.
more and more. Then
you love it.
Yeah.
You don't even
and then
flinch.
you crave it.
You don't even
want it. You
flinch.
want it every day. You're doing it at home to yourself.
It's the only way I can get excited now.
Just ask Marv Albert. He'll tell you.
His birthday was yesterday.
Hey, happy
that's
birthday.
Marv's
All
was.
right,
Oh, yeah. I announced. Yeah. Yes.
And it counts. Well, we could do this for the whole show. It's really fun to have this piled on and talking about my dreams of getting back into Bob's shape, but
I don't know if any of us can get in Bob's shape.
no, we can't. The 2023 schedule has an opener, and Bill, there's an opening line for the Indiana matchup.
It was a 27.5. Yeah, a half point there.
It seems like a lot.
That's a big number for a team that's got to figure some stuff out on the road in a Big Ten game. Granted, it's Indiana, but
Wait, I thought you were saying that seems like the team that's got to figure some stuff out. I thought you were going to go with Indiana. And
Well,
take some.
of course
I think they
Indiana
do, yes. But
Austin was comparing it to the Minnesota opener.
I think there's a lot of similarities to it, not just because of having a starting quarterback that will be new, but you go on the road, you play a conference opponent. They have 9 months to prepare. You know that Tom Allen is going to dial up every conceivable blitz, so you also have a couple new starters on the offensive line at tackle. I think it could get a little bit bogged down. And the 27, if you ask me right now where to put the units, I think I would have to say probably not going to cover 27.
I could see that. Did Michael Penix, did he transfer back to Indiana?
He did not.
No, he's in Washington, right? He's not walking through that door, Bob.
Throwing for 5,000 yards for them again.
Yeah.
Getting him before he breaks his shoulder.
Yeah.
Every year.
They still have that model quarterback, don't they?
The thing, I don't see this Indiana. If you look at the offensive trajectory since Kevin Wilson left, I mean, it's not been good. Their defense has maintained, but the thing is, their defensive numbers are probably worse because they're on the field more. Due to the fact that their offense can't really do much. I mean, they were decent last year. I mean, they had some opportunities to get a couple, probably more wins than they should have, but they just couldn't compete, and they had some injuries and stuff down the stretch. 27.5 is big. We're just used to Ryan Day's offensive scoring like 63 points.
Yeah.
The point where I was telling Rothman like a couple years ago, like, hey, it's like, that's a lot. I'm like, their defense isn't very good. I'm like, but they're going to score 70, so can they just hold them under 35?
Yeah,
that's
no doubt.
But I think this defense against Indiana, I mean, I would be surprised if they probably give up more than 17. I would say it's probably more 13, 14 points, just based upon what I've seen, and unless there's some massive
injuries or
deviation in camp of what we've already come to kind of know, they're going to be really good, and they're going to be much more consistent. And it was a defense that was much better last year, and I think you'll have that same type of jump again this year.
It's still asking, even if you say 17, and I'm not arguing that.
Oh yeah, you're in the 40s.
You still have to get to 40, and I think it was I'm trying to remember how that all flowed out. Like the second quarter, it was like Ohio State's offense. Again, C.J. Stroud's first start. They kind of got Minnesota controlled the clock. They took them off the field. I
don't know if Indiana can do the way PJ Fleck ripped off the front page of Jim Tressel's playbook and said, "Here, try to beat us like this. I'm just going to frustrate you to death. We'll walk up there,
we're
30
slow
seconds,
this down, eat that clock up.
3rd and 7, run the draw, just punt it away, and we're going to frustrate you." Indiana isn't tough enough, and they don't have the physicality. Let's also remember, I mean, their running back was a 1,400-yard guy coming into that season.
That Minnesota team had
they had a good year beforehand.
5, 6-year offensive linemen or something.
They have NFL guys.
If Indiana's going to do what it did last year, which is run plays as fast as possible, have 24 seconds 3-and-out drives.
I did forget about that detail from last year's game. We don't want the ball here. Take it away
so fast. They're terrible.
They thought their best opportunity was to score on defense. So.
Yeah. They're going to give our quarterback plenty of time, plenty of reps
so
with that kind of
cover the 27.
So I don't think they're just not built like that to be able to slow down and play like that.
They'll have an interesting quarterback. They get the Trace Jackson Davis's brother transferred from Tennessee, the quarterback. He's going to, I think, start for them this fall. So good athlete, but he hasn't
really done anything yet.
I don't think he's played at all. But
they brought back Xander Diamant.
Is that the model, dude? Yeah.
He should be allowed to play forever. Why not?
I thought he got COVID years. I mean, I don't know how that worked, but
just keep him out, keep him around.
Preemptively, he took them.
I think you got a hand model gig. Took off.
Zoolander.
That's interesting. What do we got here, Bob?
Jay-Z. The fried pickles, Jay-Z's favorite.
It is a Thursday.
It is an appetizer.
Fried pickles, they are delicious. Come with a little bit of ranch to dip them into. Look how.
Should you go with any spicy ranch? Or
Bob's a big component of the spicy ranch.
The ranch at Roosters is elite. The spicy ranch it's a dynasty. I mean, it's what you really want to go with. It takes the ranch to another level. So I would dip those in the spicy ranch. That's just my preference. But they're $3 all day long. Appetizer Tuesday.
Those are fried up to perfection.
They really are.
They are.
Wow. Kicking it up. I hadn't really thought about some spicy ranch with the fried pickles, but it's going to have to be
done. What do you guys know about this here?
Oh, boy.
All
right, so here we go.
I got that. That is, I'm going to tell you what.
Tried it?
Oh, yeah, Nicole.
Nicole was crying. She was looking so forward to it. After the show last week, she had her burning blackberry. She went back to the kitchen. She's like, "Is this different? It's way hotter than before."
Yeah,
she couldn't do it.
Oh, she couldn't?
No,
I was about to text her. I was like, "Listen, man, I had the grilled tenders, huge dollop in there." And I'm like, "Oh, my." I had 3 bites from
this blueberry is going to be nice. And then it's like,
Well, my wife does a little sauce that's similar to that, but this had some real potent potables. It was
potables.
It was serious.
Yeah, so the recipe has changed. It is a little spicier. The burn-in is not.
And the burn-in is there for your safety.
Yeah, it is not.
Let you know.
Exaggeration. It is hot. They also have the chipotle. I put that on the fried chicken sandwich last week. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not as close to the heat wave as the burnin' blackberry is, but I don't know if Berm's tried it yet. He's usually rocking with the nuclear. We'll check with him as we come back in the second half of the show. We'll let Bill get back to his thing. What's coming? What's the next thing you're working on?
I'm going to write about some cornerbacks.
Ooh,
Cornerbacks.
all right.
The present and future of the position.
Ooh, love that. All right.
Both look bright.
That'll be at ohiostate.rivals.com. We'll be back in here at the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. Berm's here.
Hey, Berm.
Hello again.
How are the wings today?
Hot, as I like it.
You crying?
He's crying over here.
It looks like he
I
has
just
some
had to eat
tears.
quickly before I got on this little set, so
I don't know if the cameras can pick up the tears here.
it's not tears. It's eye sweat.
I don't know what that means. I've never heard of eye
It's
sweat.
sweating from the areas surrounding the eyes.
Make your teeth sweat?
Everything sweats.
But nothing else on your face is sweating. It's
Just your eyes.
Yeah, your eyes are.
Usually
your
your
eyes are closer
nose.
to the.
Usually your nose runs
It's like all combined with the heat.
if it's the heat, but if you're just crying,
Did you get some burn and bee, or did you just go with the
Oh,
traditional?
just a traditional nuclear and the barbecue combo.
When did you discover that combination?
I always like a little sweet with my.
Yeah. Have you tried the burning blackberry?
That's why you got.
No,
it's
I
got
haven't.
some sweet with
I
the
haven't,
heat.
but I also don't.
Bartender?
I also don't ever feel the need to like expand my horizons.
I'm with you, but I'm telling you right now, it's not probably.
He doesn't
nuclear.
think you can handle it.
I
don't
can
know.
definitely handle it.
You could, but maybe they've toned it down. But last week, I mean, it
More
was
blackberries in
probably on par with like a donkey finish
I mean, nuclear is hotter than donkey.
or nuclear then or whatever. It's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's quite to nuclear, but it's pretty hot. It's
I'll give it a shot. I promise.
Just bring it. We'll just have him bring it.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
Shoot
That's
it.
silly.
You just have to drink it.
Just shoot it.
That's
Tough
Give
guy.
the people what
Silly.
they want.
that's silly.
How was camp?
Monday was all right. I mean, you had not as many high quality prospects as we did last Thursday, and not as many as we'll see on Wednesday or Thursday this week. But a couple really good players: 5-star running back Jordan Davison from California, 5-star wide receiver Malin Graham, who's already committed to Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I saw him walking
A couple
through.
really good young offensive linemen. So I had a couple people worth watching.
There was a kid from Jersey, a receiver that came through the other day. That's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, Quincy Porter.
Yes.
is a 2025 wide receiver from Jersey who
He's
visited
supposed to
Friday.
be the best dude in the class. Maybe.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that Ohio State's. If you're talking like receiver recruiting, which we can talk about forever because it's so like fun,
So
and
robust.
crazy at this point. The class of 2025 is not a spot where like Brian Hartline has a real vision yet. I don't think, but Quincy Porter is certainly one of them that is in that conversation, which is why he visited. Last Friday, he got offered in the spring, so they're moving as quickly as they can there. But it's not a class. That class maybe feels a little bit more like the 2022 class, where you're like, I don't know if we have like dudes. Like the 23 class, you had Brandon Innes and Carnell Tate and Noah Rogers. 24, you've got Mylan Graham and Jeremiah Smith. 25 is more like, let's see exactly who.
Well, it's still early. There's still time.
It's very early, right? Very early. It's early.
Very early. It's fun to watch those guys get out and coach. Like Berm and I were talking about that. Like, what do I do at these camps? Because I've been at both of them, going both Wednesday and Thursday. We'll miss the last
Go
one.
up to the meal room and eat.
Yeah. Well, hey, come on. We don't have to do this the whole show. I am always amazed. I'm not just saying this because he's here. Like how Berm gets anything out of these recruiting camps, because it's just they're herding cats out there. There's 400 kids. I don't know how he accomplishes anything. They don't have numbers on them. It's not like an Elite 11 where it's like, hey, number 2 is Justin Zwick. I can pick that guy out. They just have a lot of
Bird knows their faces. He studies them. He has the dossier on all these guys.
But
the Steel dossier.
So this was not made up.
They're real. You make them up though in your house. Little Manila folders.
Pictures of
He
young
slides
dudes all
over to
around.
Austin.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, here's pictures of him in 5th grade.
This is the one.
9th grade.
Yeah.
Now he's a sophomore.
Here he is on the playground
he also
at elementary school.
Watch him jump up on the
Look at
monkey
him. Look at him
bars.
get this ball on the playground.
there's two things.
Are you in a bush shooting that?
He does this better than anybody else.
100%.
And number 2, he knows me long enough that he doesn't even really ask me to watch the kids anymore. He gave up on that.
Help carry these
Although
5 bags.
I'm trying to
And I
get better
forgot
at
one.
it. I watched some of the defensive linemen. He's like, there's 2 people. Like, I can handle that. And I watched those drills and the offensive linemen yesterday. But he's like, just do your thing and, go talk to the current players, see them work out, or watch, this is the first time we get to see James Laurinaitis, go through every drill and what he wants to teach for 2 hours or 3 hours and doing it with
so they let
freshmen.
you guys there during their OTA deal.
Yeah.
Well,
They're just
so
a freshman.
they've changed it a little bit. So it used to be better for me because there'd be offensive linemen and stuff in the morning, defensive linemen, and then they'd cut those guys loose, and then they'd have the second session for skill in the afternoon. So then the workouts would bleed over, and I would just be like, and I would
get
sneak.
lost and slither against the
Walk
wall.
be on
Somehow I wound
the
up
other side
back
as
on
far
the
as
indoor
possible.
during this team run. I don't know how that happened. It's an accident, but I guess I'll watch it. So they're not doing that now. They have a team run in the morning and a team run in the afternoon, and then the camp is in the middle. But a lot of them are around, like Donovan Jackson I mentioned, noticing his physical transformation. He's been out at both camps so far. JT Tuimoloau and Hero Canoe have been out there for every drill, helping with the defensive linemen. I think that's pretty impressive, their investment to being around, not whether that's doing extra work with Larry Johnson or just helping out the kids and lead drills and demonstrate. It's pretty cool. But you see other Jelani Thurman.
They're getting paid to do that, don't you think?
I think so.
Not really anymore. Most of these guys don't have to do it because they make so much money. Then
So that's the thing.
It used to be the only option.
It used to be the
so
way
it's
they
like,
get paid.
here's your $5.
So
Thank you.
So they were all there. And that's 2 years ago.
Now-
The entire
now
roster
they're
is
like-
taken down 40 times.
Yeah.
Then maybe they might sneak away for a little bit. But
Yeah.
now you're talking about 5 or 6 players that are willing to do that. And JT, by the way, also did it. He had his own camp on Friday, so he's done that 3 out of the last 5 days.
The guys, they did a camp up in Canton, up at the Tommy was up there. I don't know who all. I know
Julian
Tommy,
Fleming.
Julian. A handful of guys were up there doing that. So.
The Hall of Fame up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
I asked Donovan about the photo, and he said
The photo.
that he strategically positioned himself next to Marvin so that he would look bigger, and that it was a combination of lighting and angles.
It's not true.
And then
He's
Three-point lighting.
enormous.
I was with Carson Hinsman and Donovan asking about it, and Carson said that Donovan's arms right now are like a half-inch bigger than Carson's, and he's like, but no one's talking about my arms, and he was very upset about it.
Hey, people have told me the half-inch matters a lot.
And also,
which people told you that you needed half an inch more. Bob?
I've seen
Or
some,
maybe a half-inch less.
I've
That's
seen-
Oh, there you go.
I've seen
That
some
doesn't
folks-
typically happen. You always want more.
I've seen some.
At least you saved it.
You always do, huh, Jay-Z?
You always.
I've
well done.
I've seen some people clamoring that JT Tuimoloau was a little too thin.
Yeah.
And he was actually
He's really tall, though.
he was
bro.
upset that people are thinking he's skinny because he's like, I did lose some weight, but I'm trying to just get quicker. So if you're one of those people who thinks he looks skinny on the internet,
Skinny's a relative term. I would guess, watching him walk around, that he probably weighs between 258 and 262. Like,
I bet he's closer to.
It's pretty.
That's pretty specific.
Did you still work at a carnival?
Okie dokie.
I see those guys every day. Like, when you're
He
around,
sees them on the scale.
Well, I've
every
watched
day.
him. I've watched Jack. You watch Jack Sawyer come in, and Jack's like he's a broad dude. But both those guys have big shoulders. Like, they can carry a lot of weight. I think Jack's like 265 now, and I'm like, JT looks probably just a little thinner than him, but like he's got really big legs. He carries a lot.
It's just funny. I mean, he played at like 270, 273, 274 last year, and I'm sure he'll put on some more weight as
He might be
goes through the season.
265.
But there's been so much hand-wringing about Ohio State players getting too big, and now that a guy loses weight, people are
Too
complaining
small.
about that. Like,
we can't stop the run.
Where's
Everybody got skinny over the summer.
just nonstop complaining?
But if you're trying to help him take the next step as a pass rusher, like, there's a limit to how much more you could put on.
Everybody, all these guys go back and forth, and you find a weight that works for you. And every dude is going to be different based upon how tall you are, how wide your shoulders are, like just
How
how
thick your legs are,
thick
where
your
you
legs-
carry
yeah,
your weight.
where
I
you
mean,
carry-
all
like,
kinds of stuff. Yeah.
You can look at all these guys, and like we had these scientists would come in, like, hey, well, your spine's this long, you're this. They had like 4 guys that were 6'3", and their weights were like from 185 to 330, and you just look at them like, well, yeah, I can see because these human beings are built differently. They're asked to do different things, and like they have different levels of flexibility and all these other things that can change with it. So you want to be like ideally as big as much. You want to be as big as you can effectively carry and move. but there's some leeway in that based upon what you're trying to do, and maybe get your rep count up and different things. But I think JT looks good.
Right. I mean, he was
huge when he got here. Yeah, like he leaned down,
which is fine. I mean, that's what Joey Bosa did his junior year, and turned out okay. And then he gets to the NFL, puts on a little more, and the reality is, all these guys are just going to end up getting back to roughly where they were a year ago, probably by the time the season starts anyway, right?
It's easier as you get older to carry more weight. You know that. I mean, just naturally holding more.
Getting good at that part, Bob.
It's not difficult at all. We talked with Bob last week about his camp experiences at Ohio State, and I'm curious from your perspective, Jay-Z. Like,
it's way different. They were driving him around in a
I know, but that's why he was driving to campus from Lancaster in a broken down pickup truck.
I didn't go to campus.
He had a green Mustang that said JZ12 when he pulled
They sent the
his teammate was on my 7-on-7 team telling me about how great he was.
They sent the private jet to pick you up.
Who was that?
I don't know. He was one of the linebackers there. He's like, I'm going to tell you, this kid Justin is like, he is really good. He goes, I'm like looking over there, and Joe Daniels is like, oh, Justin.
Oh gosh,
like all over him.
I think I did one day of camp at Ohio State.
That's all it took.
That was all. It was like
it was like the DeJuan Jones point.
And I got teamed up with Mo Hall's high school.
Oh really?
No,
Brookhaven.
Yeah, they teamed me up. I was Brookhaven's quarterback. We had all the. It was awesome.
Designed for success.
Yeah, just slinging the ball all over the place.
I mean,
it was great.
Yeah, they brought him in.
Don't think we're getting the same quality of stories from Jay-Z that we got.
No, I mean, so I didn't do like the individual camps. I literally, I think I came to Ohio State for one day and went and did that 7-on-7 deal. That was
going into your junior year.
That was going into my junior year, and then my senior year as a team, Massillon, we went to a camp at West Virginia. Yeah. And it was a team camp 7-on-7. Found out about that hill in the background of West Virginia Stadium. If you guys have ever been down there, they did a little Remember the Titans deal on us because they got some guys out on campus. Woke us up at 2 a.m., had us out in the courtyard in the rain doing up downs and everything, and then run to the stadium. So we had to run over to the stadium. You couldn't even see the top.
Steep hill,
you couldn't even see the top of the hill because it was like fog. We ran that thing like 3 or 4 times. Got back, showered, and then went and did our last day of camp and won the 7-on-7 championship.
You guys still were able to perform?
And it was the West Virginia coaches were just giving us crap. Like, I heard you guys had a little workout, a little early morning workout, blah, blah, blah. It was great. That was when Rich Rod was there. Whew. What a different style. What a different style coach. There were younger kids at parts of this camp.
I don't know if that's safe for you.
Oh, they were yelling at these kids as if they were on scholarship at West Virginia. I felt bad for these little 8th graders. Just, UMF, like, it was nuts. But, so I didn't do a lot of individual camps. I didn't go around. I did the Elite 11 going into my senior year out in California. And, that was really about it. And I mean,
that was before they had
committed in May. I committed in May of my junior year. Yeah. So
they had the senior camp, and I didn't go to that because I broke my leg my junior year. And so it was coming into that, and it still wasn't feeling great. I think I was swimming or something. And like AJ, that's where they offered AJ, and he committed. Did you go to that and just hang out?
I don't remember.
They had a lot of the guys from Ohio that all committed.
I mean, the class leader at quarterback.
Well, if I was committed already, I'm sure I did go to it because I took probably 5 or 6 official visit. Because I just came down every week, and my brother was living here. I'd stay with him. I'd go out to the Buckeye Hall of Fame Cafe and meet up. Larry Fitzgerald was. I remember coming down to hang out with him for a little bit. Didn't get that one. But I came down to a bunch of different ones.
That was an academic thing, I thought, right?
I don't remember what it was.
He went to Pitt. It's not.
Yeah, I tried to do my best on him. So I did all those. I came to a lot of official visits and just kind of hung out and got to know the guys and try and recruit a little bit.
It was like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when he got to camp. I mean, dude, just all kinds of stuff, everything going on.
All the fanfare.
Music stopped.
Yeah, music stopped.
I will say this, though, too, about what's his name, Rich Rod. Dude, I went to a spring game. I went to a practice. My goodness. And I already had gone in there. My high school defensive coordinator GA'd with him at Glenville State. And my high school coach, I always said, I'm like, dude, you're a little aggressive. My dad he just let him do whatever to me. And he goes, you think I'm an a-hole? Wait till you see Rich.
Oh, dude, Rich was a different level, man.
I come like, okay. And I got there, I was like, wow, there are coaches and high school recruits here. And
he did not care.
If this is tempered down, I can't even imagine what it was before.
Oh, between that and that hill, I'm like, oh, no chance I'm going to West Virginia.
That just doesn't happen anymore. Like
No.
Yesterday's camp, I think the worst thing I heard a coach say to someone was, "If you're not going to catch it, I'm not going to throw it to you." That's about
Yeah, that would have went a little different down there in West Virginia.
It wasn't just the language; it was the usage and like the description and like how like the.
That's a professional cursor.
Yes, he's worked on this. There were phrases that were pieced
like,
together
what?
that I had never heard before. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Different look. That was when Michigan hired him. I'm like,
That's
not a Michigan. That's not a Michigan man.
That's how he came up with that offense.
Yeah.
Just putting things together randomly and just seeing if it works.
Yeah, the most aggressive thing I heard was from James when a freshman linebacker didn't quite get a full hit on the tackling dummy. He's like, I guess we're treating her nice today.
That's something that Fick would do a great job. He didn't curse a lot, but Fick always had some great ways to really just embarrass you with just the subtlety of.
Well, that's how Tresh used to do it too.
Oh,
He
yeah.
always just little zingers that weren't bad or cussing, but it just.
So is telling a quarterback that he throws like a girl a big deal?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure that's probably one of the nicer things Urban probably said to a quarterback.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
I mean,
of
so,
all the things
yeah,
he probably said
I mean,
to Joe Burrow in his time at Ohio State, you throw like a girl. It's probably like.
And it's like, well, I'm
On the nice
a scholarship player at Ohio State.
you offered me.
Yeah, I mean, she must not be that bad at throwing. I don't know. I'm here.
You didn't kick him off the team.
No,
Turned out he was fine.
he turned out all right. But we didn't have much of that. No.
Between that and JT's weenie arm, he was pretty aggressive with the evaluations of his own quarterbacks.
I don't know. Kevin Wilson. It was when he got here. I always remember talking to him because he coached my dad's high school or college roommate for a long time, Randy Walker. So I'd known Kevin since I was probably about 4th grade, 5th grade. And I was talking to him. He got here. We were just having a conversation about the quarterbacks. He's like, "I'll tell you what." He's like, "Joe Burrow, Coach, come a long way from that noodle-armed kid from Athens." He's like, "I didn't even offer him in Indiana."
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I watched him play his championship game his senior year. Kid was legit.
I think it shows what I know. I mean, it's like he had a great way of just bringing up.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, there are some chapters missing from the Joe Burrow was always a elite superstar.
He was skinny. I got a picture
he
on my
was
phone of him.
A little dude, but he was a heck of an athlete. I mean,
He
granted,
could always move.
What is Athens? A Division 5?
Back then, I think it was when he was there.
It may have been
I think it was
4 back then. Yeah, I think
because they played Central Catholic at a Toledo in that state championship game.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was like the best.
Oh, it was.
football game I've
I
ever
called
seen.
that game. Yeah, and it was. I mean, I think Athens came back and
they
won, or
lost.
they
They
lost.
lost
It was. I know it was like a one. It was a high scoring
They lost
game.
55-52 or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. Yeah.
Who was
Yeah,
the
it was-
quarterback on the other side? They put up like crazy numbers against each other.
Kid from Toledo, I think.
Sean Kaiser.
I thought it was Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, you're right.
Who was it?
Toledo St. Francis, I
They
think.
put
is
on a show.
Central. There you go.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser and Joe. That was a battle.
They put on a show.
Anything else cooking this week for you other than camps?
Just camps.
Did you shoot that one shot
there
of
you
Smith with the ball in the air?
No, that was at a. It must have been
At another camp.
different camp.
I didn't know if it was last week or if he was here.
Jeremiah didn't camp at Ohio State. We'll see if he comes back. There's some talk about him coming back for a second visit this month after his official last weekend. But this week we have like the OT7, which is some brand thing that happens out in Vegas where they send high school football players money to show up at a place. And then there's the Elite 11 where they send high school football players money to show up at a place. And then there's the Under Armour Future 50 where they send high school football players money to show up at a place.
Gosh, man, that'd be
Man,
so
we
great.
missed out on
So
all
I
that.
don't know
Paid to go to
if
camp.
there's
Yeah.
any time to get to actual team football camps because you got to do all this other stuff.
You got to pick up your money, pick up the bag.
It is a wild world right now. One thing
So exciting.
for you and the people who are interested in watching football, like obviously that's not just open to fans to come to camps, but Tavian St. Clair will be back at Ohio State on Thursday, I think, doing a workout. So that'll be interesting for people. He's going to come in.
Those days are easy for me. Yeah.
Camp next week as well. So we'll see some conversation to see where Ohio State really is thinking in 2025 at quarterback. Next week we'll see Ryan Montgomery and Tavian St. Clair both.
He's
on
in
campus.
Tavian St. Clair is the
Bellefontaine guy.
Bellefontaine.
Ryan Montgomery's at Finley. Both those guys will be at Michigan.
Are they going to
tomorrow,
have
so-
them do
Circle drill?
circle drill?
Ooh, that'd be
doubt
cool.
it. I doubt that.
Do they play each other, Finley and Bellefontaine?
Not that I've seen.
no.
Finley is D1 and
Bellefontain's
like
probably
D4.
or is it that
D3.
small?
Are they lower?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're small.
Let's schedule it.
I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Winner gets the offer.
Well, they both have an offer.
The Dot the Eyes Podcast Classic.
Yes, there we go.
We're trying to
We'll be in the booth. I'm coming out of the
We're trying to
booth.
arrange an American Gladiator style event between Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day, where they just stand up on the platform.
The joust?
Yeah.
Oh,
joust,
gosh,
yeah.
that would be a beauty.
That's our goal.
Like for NIL purposes. I think
Oh,
that's
God,
the
you
way to
raised
go.
a ton of
Imagine
money.
how much money they'd make. Let's do
That's-
it.
You could probably help us with this.
Initially,
be
he
great.
wanted me to do it against Mike Loxley at Big Ten Media
Well, I
Days.
think that's the undercard.
Mike Loxley, another gem.
That'd be the undercard for sure, and that'd be worth it.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to get training with Mick to get ready for the joust against Mike Loxley.
You
Although I
better
could
hurry
probably
up.
beat him
For
right
media
now.
days?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right around the
He's
corner.
got a lot. Here's the thing. Mike Loxley, you either have to go two ways. We either want to get lean down and get in great shape or lean into it like Mike Loxley and get yourself a strong anchor.
We're just, yeah.
Nice
Just
sturdy
hammer
base.
down right there,
Yes.
sturdy
We're
base.
just going real
Yeah.
heavy. We're going to
And
be
then-
able to absorb a lot of blows, but we're going
Yes.
to be able to
Yeah,
dole them out.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think he
There's
only,
a lot to work on. By
I
the
think
way.
he only punches people on his own coaching staff, so I'd probably be safe.
Ooh.
But we'll see.
Got him.
This has been an Appetizer Tuesday show.
Fried
If
pickles.
there are any fried pickles left when we leave, come get them at your local Roosters establishment. You can get them for $3 today. They're wonderful. They're delicious. They're crispy. Bob says get some spicy ranch with them. Kick it up.
Take it
Can't
to
go
the
wrong
next
with
level.
any ranch, but the spicy might be a notch up. We'll have to try it.
The guys will be back on the normal time on Monday, but I will not be here. I'll be heading down to Texas. So enjoy a show
What are you doing
without
down
me.
there?
Jeez.
Go to see the family. You know,
Family
Herm is your
schmamly.
family.
Yes.
well,
we are your family.
I'm spending all week
in the
with him.
Horseshoe Lounge.
He is in the guest room all week this week, so I'm getting that done now. So we're just preparing in the summer.
So then you need a week away from him.
That's
That's week. Yeah, that's kind of
Well, he'll still be there, and I'll just be in Texas. So just leave it.
taking care of the dog.
He doesn't have a dog.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Gibson.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
That's okay. That's all right.
It's like 3 years ago. Don't let him.
Oh, okay.
It really bothers Liberty more. She doesn't even really remember. She's 2 years old, but she cries
Yeah.
about it all the time, which is sweet. Anyway,
Kids aren't they fun? Aren't they?
yeah. So that's it.
They love death.
That feels like a great place to end everything. Thanks for joining us at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. That's Jay-Z, Bob Berm, and for Bill Landis, I'm Austin Ward. Have a great week, and the show will be back on Monday.